So here's a sample question. My grandmother told me many years ago that my great or great great grandfather went down with his ship in the Sargasso Sea. I said, "What's the Sargasso Sea?" And she said, "A lot of weeds in the ocean where ships were stuck because they couldn't get wind for the sails and get out of the weeds." She had only about a third grade education, but she spoke and wrote German and English very well. I think it must have been in the Bermuda Triangle. Do you know of any books or sailing ships in the Sargasso Sea that went down? She was born in 1880 and her father born around 1844. So his dad and grandfather must have been back about 1800, possibly 1750. Thanks for any help.
So the Sargasso Sea is a real place, and it does have a lot of weeds in it. But I tend to think that it would not be enough to sink a ship. And I'm not certain. I think the weeds are there because the real challenge there is that there's very few winds. It's the horse latitudes where there's just not a lot of wind, and vessels can get stranded there, but the wind eventually arises, and they do eventually get out. Of course, there are hundreds of thousands, millions of ships lost across time in many different areas, and so ships certainly could have been lost there. I had thought a little bit about this question. Could a ship that was just sitting there had sprung a leak or something like that, eventually go down there. And I think that the vessel would go through a lot more challenges when they were when they did have a lot of wind before that would have been more likely to have started to really emphasize any losses that they might have had. But maybe we can see what sort of books we could find out about the history of the Sargasso Sea. I honestly don't know what we would find. So how would I do that? I wouldn't actually do that at ShipIndex.org. I would I might start at WorldCat. WorldCat is a big database that brings together the holdings of lots and lots of libraries. It's not actually a library, it's a collection of the holdings of a lot of libraries. And it can be very useful. It's gotten a little bit challenging in the last couple of years and some changes that they've made that make it harder to figure out what library near you has the book you're looking for, and sometimes the searching can be a little bit difficult, but it's a good place to start. There are some other places we could start as well. So these first thing, not surprising, we see references to this important novel, The Wide Sargasso Sea, which was a rewriting of I don't an Austen
Jane
novel.
Austen book. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
so.
think so. Um, so this looks neat. Um, The story of a boy with extraordinary scientific abilities and unusual ties to the sea. Eli is going to explore the Sargasso Sea. And then the challenge that we have here with WorldCat is that they've now put lots of articles, not all articles, but lots of articles in there. I think we'd have to do a lot of looking here if we wanted to find something. And I might suggest looking at a different, maybe at an individual library's collection, maybe a very large library, maybe the largest university library in your state or something like that to see what you find. I guess I should be just saying, let's see if we go Sargasso Sea history. I like to keep a broad terms initially and then narrow in once I see what kind of things we're finding. Again, we're seeing a lot of here's something about the world's oceans. Um, so these are a couple of different ways that we would search. Talking with a reference librarian to learn more about the Sargasso Sea would be a very good way to go. That I I have not ever seen any books or specifically about the loss of vessels in the Sargasso Sea.
All right.
That
Awesome. That's
that
great.
okay?
Yep.